Hello and welcome to my screencast on the ideal client. My name is Joy Poe. This is for ENT 645 Entrepreneurial Marketing. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about a portion of my idea for Worthwhile Studio. Worthwhile Studio, once it becomes kind of the full-fledged business, would consist of a working studio, which would have my own studio practice and 3 to 5 other working artists, a gallery space, and then offer workshops and master classes and potentially online courses. But kind of before all of this begins to take shape, I'm working on doing some classes, kind of just paint and pour style classes, and then private and small group art lessons at some local art places and also people's homes, just to get an idea of what kind of master classes, workshops, and other types of things people would be looking for later in the game, and then also just in the interest of meeting artists and hopefully creating kind of a side business of arts consulting for artists, learning how to get into galleries, get grants, learn other things. So today we're going to primarily talk about the paint and pour style classes and then private and small group art lessons and the ideal client that might be interested in those types of things, which hopefully would eventually work into this and help you meet artists along the way. So there are several tools that traditionally marketers use to identify the ideal client. They are geographics, which is where is the ideal client located; demographics, what does the ideal client look like; and then psychographics, why does the ideal client need or want your service; and then the behavior graphics, what attracts the ideal client to your business. In order to understand how to reach the ideal client, a marketing team must understand basically the who, what, why, and where that makes this client a good match for their product or service. And then you can start talking about the how. So we're going to go down and talk about some geographics for paint and pour classes in my area. I am here in Brevard, and this map was perfect. It allowed me to kind of group up Hendersonville, Mills River, Fletcher, and even kind of this, the bottom half of Buncombe County. And then there is a huge tourism area here because of Pisgah National Forest and the wide variety of camps and cycling that comes through this area. So there's a potential to reach tourists visiting the area. And then later on, online marketing to reach beyond Western North Carolina, bringing in bigger names as workshop leaders, and then attracting people from outside of this area to come and take classes once Worthwhile Studio is large enough to attract those kinds of workshop leaders. Next up, we have demographics. And when looking at the demographics for my ideal client, I'm primarily looking at females. They have both time and money to participate in these kind of activities, art classes, and then I would say seniors, and specifically females, are looking for ways to learn and interact with others, especially in the arts. When considering the numbers for these two counties, which is Transylvania and Henderson County, I'll subtract the percentage of those in poverty, as they may not have the income to afford the activities. And then I would also, let's talk about the population. So here in Transylvania County, there is a population of 34,000 people. And actually in the town, the city of Brevard, there's only 7,700, I think. But 28% of this population is 65 and over. So Brevard is a pretty big retirement community. And then also 52% is female. So that's a pretty good odds just to start me off. And then Henderson County obviously is significantly larger, and I don't know how far people would be willing to travel, but Henderson County is probably one of the closer counties that would draw over to Brevard. Again, 25% of the population is 65 plus, and 52% again is female. And then I would like to consider the percentages of people in poverty in these particular counties. There's a high percentage of poverty. So I think Henderson County has 12% and Brevard population, or Transylvania County has 16%. Later on, I'll take those percentages out. And then I found an interesting article on the Center for Arts and Cultural Policy at Princeton University, and it gathered a bunch of information about adults in art activities, and they found that altogether 44% of American adults, that means 90 million people, personally participated in at least one art activity in the last 12 months. Of course, this is 2002. I couldn't find anything much newer, but I'm sure there must be something out there. But 44% is a pretty big population of people who might be willing to try an art class. So, next up, we're going to talk about psychographics. The people who would be interested in some paint and pour classes, they're looking for companionship and experience, something that's fun, something novel, entertaining. If they're new to art, they might be looking for a challenge, and if they are returning to art, they might be looking for something that's simple to do. They might want to reconnect with friends, have a drink, learn some new skills. So paint and pour classes are kind of a light and fun kind of thing. And then there would be the private and small group lessons. And this is where you're going to find people that are more interested in learning. They want to get new skills. They want one-on-one instruction. They still want it to be fun. They may be returning to this as an old hobby. They might be looking for friendship or to meet other artists. They're looking to perhaps learn a new skill in order to kind of move their art making abilities further, build a new portfolio. And then they also might just really like an instructor and follow them. So that happens a lot too, that they might follow an instructor from place to place. So that is my psychographics. And then here we have behavior graphics. Again, because we're looking at kind of retirees who've probably moved here from some other county, some other city, they're time rich, and they also probably have a fair amount of money because they're no longer working. They have some kind of retirement. So they'll be time rich and wealthy. They'll also be interested in being engaged in their community. They're going to be out and about, doing volunteer work and just looking for things that can make them feel fulfilled and excited and integrated into their community. They're likely to read both traditional and non-traditional new media. I just taught a class on Monday, as a matter of fact, and one lady, her children were this year turning 50, so she must be at least 70, and she was talking about using the internet to find this and that and la la la. So, the 70-year-olds, the 80-year-olds, they have accepted this new media, and the ones that do, they're more likely to find some of these kind of trendier things that are happening in paint and pours and art classes. And then they enjoy companion activities, especially art activities. Here in Brevard, there's the Brevard Music Center, there's theater, there's pottery, there's there's a paint your own pottery place just here in downtown. So I think opening up a paint style class would be a good draw for this area. Next up, I'm just going to give up 3 little descriptions of ideal clients. So we're going to talk about ideal client number 1. I call this one the workshop enthusiast. This person makes an effort to seek out and attend art workshops. Generally, this woman's retired. She has a history of being creative and has some expendable income and enjoys attending workshops as a social activity. She is the flutterby of the workshops. Ideal client number 2, what I would call the late bloomer. This consists of adults who are interested in returning to a former love of creativity or just now discovering their interest in making art. This woman is interested in learning techniques and growing her talent. She may have some insecurities and need supportive instruction along the way. And then we have the aspiring artist, ideal client number 3, already coming to the table with significant creative skills. They attend workshops to learn new skills and new techniques, to meet other artists, and to create opportunities to grow as an artist. So I like all 3 of these clients. I would be excited to work with any of them. And then I'm going to kind of return back to numbers to our two counties that we talked about earlier. So again, Transylvania County has 34,000 residents, give or take. And right off the top, I'm just going to subtract that 16%, leaving 28,500 people with adequate income. And then 42% of the female population with expendable income, 11,000, about 12,000 people. And then seniors, if we kind of take 28% of this 11,000, we've got 3,300 seniors. And then if you think about 44% of those, based on that study, are going to be interested in attending something that would have to do with the arts. So let's say we have about $1,400 to $1,500 senior females in Transylvania County who are likely to try to take a class such as what I would offer. And then we might do the same thing for Henderson, again taking off the persons in poverty, finding the female population, the senior population, and then the percentage that might take an art class. So altogether we have 7,300 potential ideal clients between the two counties. And then both counties expand with tourism during the summer and fall, which would add additional ideal clients. And then so we've kind of gone through our demographics, geographics, psychographics, and behavior graphics. So how can I reach my ideal client? I think email campaigns are going to be fantastic because once someone comes, they like your class, they like you as an instructor, they fill out your email list, and when you have a new class coming up, they get excited. They're like, oh, hey, there's that person I loved, and it's right close to town, la la la. So they will find email campaigns, I think, would be a very effective way of reaching clients once I get them in. Facebook ads and pages. Instagram is a fantastic place for visual artists. And then there's a lot of communities in Brevard that are up in the mountain. They're kind of word of mouth people. So flyers on community boards, you know, someone in an arts group or a group of ladies who like to paint together might say, hey, we've got a class coming up soon. They'll talk to one another. So these communities in Brevard are real tight-knit. Newspaper ads, again, kind of reaching the people who are both new media savvy and still read the paper. Going for that word of mouth. And again, I'll meet a lot of people through teaching, and again, heading back into that word of mouth, putting out flyers at local businesses. There's a few bagel shops and coffee shops that kind of keep the regulars with time to spare around. I think adding later in the game, when I start getting instructors from other areas that are well known, industry magazine ads would be a great place to reach the ideal client. Gallery walk demos. We have a Fourth Friday gallery walk here in Brevard. The Fourth Friday, I think it's 9 months out of the year. Public speaking events, art clubs, and then I would have a strong and easy to navigate website. You know, if we're dealing with seniors, they might have an ability to get on there and see it, but they really want to be able to sign up easily before they get frustrated. I'd like to keep a blog there. And then finally, again, kind of adding up just kind of classic magazine ads, you know, the Laurel of Asheville, some Bold Life magazine, some of these smaller kind of regional magazines would be a good way to meet ideal clients. And then I would say a common frustration for these ideal clients is access to quality art programs. They've often moved or retired to Western North Carolina from metropolitan areas that have tons of artistic art opportunities. They have museums, they have symphonies, they have theaters, they have big art galleries, and lots of these pain-poor kind of places. So I think adding that to a small town atmosphere would be really fun for my ideal client. And then I just loved this talk by Seth Godin, The Tribes We Lead. It's a TED Talk from February of 2009, and this quote stood out to me. Most leadership is about finding a group that is disconnected but already has a yearning, not persuading the people to want something they don't have yet. And I like this because I think that's a lot of what's happening in Brevard. There's a lot of people who are creative. There's lots of little groups, but they're disconnected. And so Worthwhile Studio and its big idea would connect all of these people. And the beginning of that is teaching these small workshops and getting to meet a lot of different kinds of people who have an interest in creating. All right, so thank you for watching.